The first time that I realized there was a life, an academic life, beyond a bachelor's degree was when I lived near the campus of UCLA in LA. I made a few friends my age who were in school at UCLA, some of them in undergrad and some in graduate programs. I had never really considered what it would be like to have a graduate degree until then. After all, I could barely believe I would survive a bachelor's degree. School has always been challenging for me, and I have always felt like I'm not smart enough. As a child, I was woefully behind in mathematics, and I was pigeonholed in some of the lower level classes because of it. But then here was this fantastic world where everyone called it undergrad, which hinted that everyone had a plan to level up to graduate. What a world to live in! When I moved away from UCLA and back to school in Idaho, I put that thought on the shelf. I had work to do and some really big changes to my education plan. I switched from a communication degree, where I planned to become part of an advertising agency, over to an art education degree. 2 years of my education were gone. I had some major catching up to do, and I did not feel like I would get done any faster. Remember how I said I wasn't good at school when I was younger? I'm a really slow worker. It took forever. A good friend of mine at the time moved nearby for his master's degree, and he would chat with me about all the things that he was doing in his program. We started dating, and I heard about what a graduate program really sounded like day to day from him. We were pretty serious, and I remember asking with bated breath if maybe I could get a graduate degree down the road. What did he think about that? I knew that I had a long time before I finished my bachelor's, and who knew? Maybe I would have kids, and life would look different. Maybe time schedules and things ahead would be a lot different than I expected. But now that my eyes were wide open, it would be kind of a boss move, right? In that moment, voicing aloud this question of would you support me in a graduate program? My eyes opened wide, and I felt instantly that this was what I wanted. He was okay with it, but that didn't end up mattering because I broke up with him when he moved away to get an MBA in another state. In hindsight, this feels a little ironic. Yikes! I finally finished my bachelor's degree. It took me a few years, but man, I was so proud of myself. I student taught in Las Vegas, and if only I could have worked in the place I chose. BYUI placed me in Vegas, and that didn't really feel out of an option. I ended up being so broke that I couldn't afford to leave, so I found the first job I was offered, which is a big no-no. Lesson learned, research and apply to every job. That job was a bust because I had crazy students. I had students who choked each other out in my class, I was called a bitch every other day, and I almost got a concussion when a student slammed a metal door into my face. I quickly found a new job, where the students were sweet and loved art and listened to me. I still had this itch to get out, even though my new job was great. I knew that I needed to be in Las Vegas for a few reasons. My students, some close friends, but I really did not want to live there forever. I wanted out! Finally, in fall 2020, it felt right to finally make a change. Before this, I would apply to different jobs out of state, but they never felt right, and I would be so irritated. In the middle of a class that I was taking, I heard this really clear message in my head. It's time to research graduate programs. I was so excited! I've always been a strong, independent woman who forges her own path, and I don't wait around for guidance. I just go when I do it, and then I find out later whether my actions were spiritually guided or not. But this was the first time in my entire life I have ever received such a specific direction. I was so happy and also super nervous. I researched like my life depended on it. Every night that I got home from work was another few hours looking into schools and planning out my life around preparing my applications. I settled on 4 schools. The University of Texas, Austin, because then I could live nearby my sister and her family. Virginia Commonwealth University, because it is beautiful and I've always dreamed of the East Coast. BYU, because the program was made for working professionals. And University of Utah, because it synthesized multiple art forms and it was project-based. Fast forward a few months and I received acceptance to each program. I was so excited, but man, what a choice! Virginia and Texas didn't end up feeling right. The jobs I applied to didn't reach out to me. The schooling wasn't realistic with a full-time job. Something fell off. Then it was between BYU and the U, but I really didn't want a program that felt similar to my undergrad, and I was done navigating the honor code at BYU. And the U just felt right. The U's Mat for program wasn't just pedagogy and theories and talking and busy work, it was activities and movement and advocacy, and it fit my teaching philosophy. Once I accepted the U, it just kept feeling more and more right, especially when we were in classes.